You guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Anybody in the chat right now, because I'm trying a new thing. This working? Hear me? Hear me? Hear me? Let me know. Can you hear audio? Any sound? Like, can you hear this guitar, for example? You guys hear that? And do you hear my voice? Let's see here. Anybody hear me talking? I can't. There's a whole... Yep, you're audible. Awesome, so you can hear my voice. Okay, cool, because I tried a new thing here where I've got a mic hooked up instead of the computer mic. And can you hear the guitar? Guitar sound okay? Like, same volume? Wow, a lot of people coming in the chat. Cool. Bitchin'. I just, like about 20 minutes ago, I just decided to try and hook up the output of my audio interface as the sound source going into this program called OBS Live or whatever, and then I got a microphone here and then the guitar, and it seems to work, so it's pretty great. I have to have the guitar super quiet here because it's like, otherwise it comes in the microphone. I know it'll sound phasey and weird, but anyway. Mic seems to be on the left channel and the guitar coming from the right channel. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I will consider that and try and figure out what, yeah, somebody says mic is only left side on headphones. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I've got it set up so like there's like 2-channel interface and it's going in. I don't know how I would change that, but I guess I'll just leave it as is with the guitar on one side and the, it could be in the mixture of my UA interface here. Maybe it's panned. All right, tell me this now, anybody that's saying that the mic is going to the left, if what I did just helped. Is there anybody that's got any kind of stereo situation? Does it seem like it's in the middle now? Push the mono button. Yeah, exactly. Says Robin Mink. Guitar, stereo, and voice left. Okay. Yeah, I think that probably just fixed it because I had the channel 1 on my UA audio interface panned left, but I didn't think it should matter. It would seem like it, I don't know. Anyway. What about now? Is the mic sound center? As soon as somebody tells me that, I'll move on. OBS options, somebody says. Mono, interesting. I don't want to do it now, though, but still left. Still hard left. Didn't change. Okay. Somebody says, get it together, man. Yeah, I know. That's true. Mic's hard left. Well, I don't know what to do about that. But the guitar's stereo, huh? That's weird. How can I fix it? So you know I want to fix it before I move on, but I don't want to bore you guys. Anyway, should I worry about it, or should we just move on? Mic left and guitar right. Interesting. Somebody says the guitar is stereo, but the voice is... That doesn't make sense to me because I've got them set up the same. Guitar is just going into channel 2. Well, let's see here. I'm not going to be able to figure this out right now. I know that. Well, maybe I will. Let's see. Audio. 44.1. Channel. Stereo. Ah. If I just put this in mono. Okay, let me know if that fixed it. Should be in mono now, technically. Move on, somebody says. Okay, let's move on. Somebody said last week a guy was saying that he wished that I got to question sooner in this, and now I've been on for 5 minutes without, so he's got a point this week. But I was trying something technically new. But he's like, you know, you got to get into it faster and don't wait for people to come into the chat so much. And it's like, there's a shred of truth in everything. So with that in mind, I'm going to try and answer as many questions and just talk as much as I can and not worry about this kind of stuff. Somebody said play a Hard Days Nights opening chord. Well, that's a great chord. There's an awesome video on, I believe it's on YouTube somewhere, of Randy Bachman breaking down the first chord of A Hard Day's Night and how to play, how they actually did it. And it's really interesting. I can't remember. I think he had a bunch of musicians doing it. It was kind of like, I don't know if it was at a gig or what, but he had everybody playing the right notes and stuff like that. And it's really, really fascinating when you hear his breakdown of it. Because it's not just, I mean, this sounds like it, right? It's been a hard day's night, right? But there's kind of more to it than that, and it's interesting. Go check that out if you are so inclined. All right. Okay, what's up, folks? Let's in Logic. What hosts IRs? So in Logic, you can use a number of different plugins to host IRs. I use Mix IR2 from Redwires, which is a really terrific plugin. In Logic, if you need to use, like if you don't want to deal and you just want to load up an IR, you can use, like without getting a third-party plugin, you can use Space Designer. So just go to the file management thing in Space Designer, Reverb. It's a Reverb plugin, right? But it's a convolution plugin. And find your IR file, load it up, and make sure you set it 100% wet, no dry signal, and that works fine. It's just not a very convenient IR loader, but it will work. The file management stuff's not really, it's like, I don't even like it as a reverb as far as the management. It sounds good, but it's like I do not understand the interface of Space Designer in Logic. It's just like, what does any of this stuff do? It's a completely confusing plugin that should be revamped, in my opinion. But it does work and it's free, or comes with the program. Okay. I'm just looking through for questions here. Can I talk about the pros and cons of recording gigs versus touring gigs? Sure. Well, touring gigs, that's from a guy named Jerry. Touring gigs, you know, the pros would be you get to travel around and play music and have fun, you know, hopefully with your friends, make a little bit of money playing music and see the world and all that stuff. The downside is obviously you're away all the time. And if you're touring as a sideman, you're making money and you're doing it, but you're sort of doing it in, you know, furthering more someone else's career than your own. You know, it's not your music that's out there. It's not your name on the marquee or whatever every night, so to speak, or in the reviews, or, you know. So you can spend a lot of time over the years, you know. So it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But after a while, you might come to realize it's like, wow, I'm getting a lot older and spending a lot of years of my life touring sort of in support mainly of someone else's career. Getting paid to do it, of course, you know, which is great, but it's not like you're obviously the optimum thing is to be the member of, you know, to be in the Foo Fighters or something, you know, be a member of a band, contributing member, be able to write, be able to, you know, do all that good stuff. So that's the ultimate. So that's the only thing about touring is you spend, okay, so besides that, just the time away from family and friends and stuff like that, of course, is a huge, huge, huge thing. It can be hard to maintain relationships and all that kind of stuff, you know. But the pros are many, you know. I mean, traveling, playing music, doing what you love for a living is awesome, no matter what. Nothing's perfect, though. Recording gigs, you know, I mean, you're saying recording gigs versus touring gigs. Recording gigs meaning like doing sessions for other people, I guess. I mean, it's totally rewarding, you know, recording in the studio. For me, I love it. It's the creative. It's just if you do too much of it, if you're just in the studio all the time, it can start to. You just need to strike a balance between live playing and studio playing. That's what I find. Some people never play out. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that work in the studio. My friend Dave Feldstein, who's an awesome singer and writer, he does a lot of sessions and stuff. Does a lot of music for television, and has an incredible voice. About oh, it was a year ago, January. I did a gig with him where he came out and sang live, and he's got a really incredible voice, and he can just emulate Chris Cornell's voice really, really well, which I didn't know really. But when I heard him, I was like, oh my God, like he can kind of do a lot of different people's voices really well. So, so we wanted to do this gig of Chris's music like a year ago, January. So he came out in very short notice, on 48 hours notice, because somebody else had canceled that was supposed to do it. Dave came out and did it. And he was incredible. He sang great, and he seemed like a total natural on stage. And his wife came up to me after the gig and goes, you know, I haven't seen him sing live on stage ever. And they'd been married for 15 years. I thought that was amazing. The guy was great, you know, but he's purely studio. That's what he spent most of his time doing. So I found that interesting. And he had the best time and said, we got to do this more, you know, and he's having a really good time. So I think it's a pretty, you know, powerful thing to get out and sing or play or whatever it is you do live once in a while, just for the sheer love of music and getting in front of people. So it's good to just strike a balance. Okay, what else we got here? Somebody says I need to change it in my OBS audio options. Well, I switched it to mono, so hopefully the mic is coming up the middle now. Maybe somebody let me know. I'm way back in the chat, so trying to go down here. Okay. Already bored. Says guitar lust euphoria. I'm sorry. Thanks for helping me troubleshoot, though. I appreciate that. Don't want you to be bored. Let's spice it up. Did I hear about Vinnie Vincent making first public appearances in 25 plus years? Yeah, whatever happened to Vinnie Vincent from Kiss? Right? You know, one of the only times I've seen Kiss live, I think I've seen him 3 times. He was playing guitar. Ooh, that might not be true. I saw them in '84, I think, for the very first time. And was he still playing then or not? Or was it that Mark St. John guy, maybe? Was that his name? This is some Kiss geeky trivia. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think it was the other fellow that ended up joining after that. Now I'm totally spacing on his name. Kulick, Bruce Kulick. I don't think he was in the band yet. It might have been Mark St. John. Okay, Vinny. Yeah, I heard something about Vinnie Vincent like coming out of the woodwork. And, yeah, he just kind of fell off the map and disappeared. One of the great guitar players that, you know, just kind of, what happened to that guy? Let's see. Have I ever tried Motor City pickup 2nd degree black belt? Yes, that's a nice pickup. I have it in that black guitar you see me play sometimes. The black guitar with the Floyd Rose and the tortoiseshell pickguard. That guitar has a 2nd degree black belt in it, and it's a terrific kind of on the hottish side PAF. It's not really that hot, I don't think. Maybe 8 point something or 9K or something, but it's got a real kind of like cool, like hot PAF sound, like on the hot end of what a original PAF would have been. I think that's how I think of that pickup. Really, really good rock and roll pickup. Okay. Guitar is leaking, somebody says about the sound. Yeah, I know, guitar is coming through the microphone as well if I play guitar. Okay, moving on. Do I do sessions in Nashville for other artists? No, I've never done a Nashville session. I think that's a tight-knit, you know, you pretty much got to live in Nashville to be in that scene, and it is a tight-knit scene, and it's a terrifying scene to me because those guys are so good. It's just like a frightening thing. I'm playing through an AX8 right now, by the way. The Fractal. I can barely hear it because I've got it turned way down low. Turned almost off so that it's not coming in the mic too loud. What's better in my opinion, the JHS AT, I guess that's the Andy Timmons pedal, or the Tech 21 OMG, which is the Richie Kotzen pedal? So I guess I have both of those. I have an AT, and the OMG is the same section that's in his RK5, the overdrive section that's in that. I mean, I've never back-to-back played those two things, but they both sound good, and now that you mention it, probably kind of similar. Both do a kind of, Marshally ampy thing. I can't say which is better, though. These questions are so difficult to answer. Like when somebody's like, what's better, this pedal or that pedal? Well, what kind of guitar do you play? What kind of music do you like? How do you attack the strings? What kind of amp are you plugging it into, right? It's so difficult. I would say both of those, it might be hard to go wrong, though, if you want a nice ampy Marshallish distortion, because they both have a tone control that works quite well to kind of tame the top end, which is important. One of the things that I've come to realize about the different overdrive pedals is that it's important, or distortion pedals in particular, especially hard clipping kind of distortion style pedals, it's important to have a control on them that allows you to dial back the top end a lot, like a really aggressive, almost like low pass filter style, which is like, for example, the Sur Eclipse has that. And the reason is because of different brightness amps that you could be plugging into. Bob Oliver says, thought on Marshall DSL series. I used to have one. It was good. I had an original one. I don't think they're made in England anymore. I don't know that matters. It matters on a emotional level, I suppose. But I don't know if they sound the same or not. But I had an original DSL, and it was a good amp, especially on the clean channel. Kind of did a JCM 800 thing. Decent. They're decent, You can get a sound out of them, get through a gig, and, completely useful amplifier. Good, like, all-arounder, I guess. I used to rent them. My earliest touring gigs when I was doing, like, playing with, like, different pop artists and stuff like that, I'd backline a DSL. Could always, get through the gig, get a good sound out of it. Decent. Let's see. Jennifer wants to know how much I charge for a dinner date. Jennifer, I'm not a male escort. Let's see. I'm way back in the chat, as usual. So Mike's saying, seems like I respond to questions in the chat really late. Yeah, I still haven't got, the YouTube chat thing's a drag, dude. It's just because of the way that a lot of stuff comes in, and then I get backed up really quick, and then I got to back up and look for the questions, find out where I was, and then it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and then eventually what kind of happens is it seems to jump around, and then I lose my place. I don't know how to fix that. Nothing I can do about it. It literally just, the whole chat window will jump on me, and it'll go down like 100 different things. So I do the best I can. Tony says, big thanks for getting me into Big Rec. Ghosts is brilliant. Ghosts is great. Ian Thornley is superb. He sure is. Ian's, they're going on tour right now, I do believe. So it's an In Loving Memory tour, right? Like an anniversary tour or something. I hope to catch them for sure in LA. If not, I really want to see Big Rec in Canada. So I was going to maybe go to my hometown and try and of Edmonton and try and see a show there. So we'll see. I think that might be next month, though. I don't know if it's realistic for me to do that or not, but we'll see. Okay, Plexi versus JCM 800. That's a good question. It's hard to sort of, they're both really useful. And I think kind of the louder that, if you turn a master way up on a JCM 800 and then kind of use the preamp as the volume control, there's some similarities there, It's not, they're both totally in the same wheelhouse. And also the JCM 800 is kind of cool to use on the low gain input and use it Billy Corgan style, where you can run a fuzz into it and it's a great sounding clean amp into the low gain input. It'll barely distort, like with the preamp gain all the way up, and you run the low gain, and now you can use it as a great pedal platform. So it's a really versatile amp. But my heart sort of lies at the 68 to 72 era Plexi. That's just, every time I play one, including like my SL68 or my 71 or whatever, the old ones, it's just like, yeah, there it is, that's home. It feels like home base. So I've got a, what have I got here? Oh, I got the BE loaded up in the X8. Sounds good. That's kind of the home. The reasonable facsimile of the home bass tone. It just feels good to me. That Marshall-y thing. Favorite moment playing with Melissa Etheridge. Oh God, what is that song called? She had a song called. I'm not going to remember the name of it now. Philip Sayce did it with her originally, and it was a really beautiful song that had a univibe guitar thing going on it. It was really fun to play because, of course, Philip had played some beautiful stuff on the studio version. She just let me go off on that and do whatever I wanted, so just kind of solo and. That was always fun. There's a lot of moments where she would let me stretch out, which was really nice. Like, I almost had to practice, like, improvising, because it was like, wow, there's going to be a lot of guitar going on in this gig. I came to realize it was like I had to play a lot, and I didn't want to repeat myself too much and wanted to keep it interesting. So I wish I could remember the name of that song right now, but it's not coming to me. It'll probably come to me at some point, and then I'll mention it. But it was a slow kind of, univibe situation, delay, echo, really fun. Okay. David says the AX8 sounds amazing. It really does sound good. It sounds great. I've got some great sounds going on it. People ask me, like, what's going on? Are you doing a demo of it or what? And what I was thinking is I would just record a song for the record with it. And maybe what I really was thinking of doing is using the Kemper and the AX8 and the Helix all on one song. And kind of bringing it down, maybe making a video out of it. And, we could call it like next year's model or something. Supermodel. I don't know. Just come up with like a goofy song title for like something featuring them all, because they're all good. Am I proficient on any instruments other than guitar or bass? No, I'm not. I started on violin, but I haven't played for years. I would love to pick it up again, though. And I'd love to learn how to play piano one of these days. Just get like a cool old upright piano or something and sit there and jam on that. I always wanted to do that. Why doesn't Marshall make great amps anymore? Well, to be honest, let's be fair. They've got the hand-wired 1959. They've also got the, sort of variants, like the JTM 45 one, and the, there's still all those hand-wired amps that they've got, right? And I think they still make those. The little 2061X, which is the little 20-watt head, 1974X, those are great sounding amps. They're hand-wired. They're super nice. So they are actually making really good sounding amps still, I think, And, there might be some, I think they still make the JCM 800, right? You can still buy that as a new amp, which not a lot of people consider. It's like I've talked to Friedman about it, and he's like, they're the same. They basically sound like the old ones. So, any thoughts on how? Just giving Marshall a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. I know we all wish they would. Maybe it's just that they concentrate too much on publicizing the stuff that sells, which is probably the cheap modeling amps and stuff like that these days. And so we think that like they're not making, but remember they are and that within recent years they did that, the Yngwie signature head, which was basically like a great usable Plexi. A lot of people got those and really dug them and liked the tones out of them. It was a Plexi that had a built-in attenuator, I think, and built-in overdrive and some stuff like that, which you may or may not have liked. But everyone I heard that the clips coming out of it sounded great, and people seem to be really happy with that amp. I think it's unfortunate that they're not making it anymore. It's like, why discontinue that one? Just keep selling it, even if you only sell a few a year, Any thoughts on how a Celestion Alnico Gold might sound through a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe? Probably pretty good. I like the Alnico Gold. It's kind of like a blue with a little more relaxed top. The other one that I tried was the Alnico Cream. That's a really good sounding speaker. Really nice. What do I like for an inexpensive clean boost? Think about a TC Electronic Spark. Yeah, the Spark's great. It's just straight up clean gain. I did a video of it if you want to hear it, into the SL68. It's cool. Really good. No reservations about recommending that. Simon says, hope I'm feeling better after Friday and it was all successful. What happened on Friday? I can't remember. Sorry. I don't remember. And was I feeling bad? Have I tried any Conrad amps? No, I have not. Oh, is it a person from the Sun Company? Have you guys ever heard of those? Conrad? I haven't tried those. What's up, London, Ontario in the house? Stealth Parrot. Which overdrive do I like better, the TS9 or TS808? I've never done honestly, I've never done the back and forth, you know. And I have the Green Rhino, which is 808, basically, but I've also got like the Abonai, which is more of, the only ones I have are like boutique ones. But to tell you the truth, they all kind of do the same thing to me. I'm not that, like, I would just probably buy the reissue TS808 and call it a day if that's what I wanted. When you get right down to it and start comparing, like for a while ago, I compared some boutique clone, clone style pedals, and I compared to an original one. It was like, oh yeah, the original one actually does sound a little different, and I kind of preferred it. But then I have two Rocket Archers, and they made a new one that sounds really amazing. It's, I guess, got some special op amps in it or something that are, the fellow from Rocket Chris told me that it was made for Jeff Beck. And it did sound a little different than the standard one. Just a little sweeter or something. So I guess there's something to it. Have I tried a Fender Vibro King? Great amp. That's a 310 amp. Same, Pete Townsend uses them. I like the Vibro King. Really good sounding amp. I plugged into one maybe 10, 15 years ago when they first came out, and I was like, damn, this is a really good sounding. Really good sounding. Somebody's coming in late here. It says, all the audio's in your left ear. I know. Sorry about that. This one's going to be screwed up. Just be on the left side, I guess. I'll try and figure that out this week somehow. I don't know how I'll figure it out, but I'll figure it out. I could easily rectify it by just pulling the audio interface cable out. But let's see. Any thoughts on the Korg new tube? So those little amps they're making, they sound pretty cool. I think it's got to get out there a little bit more. We're going to see some other, like that Tube Screamer. So Ibanez did a Tube Screamer with that new tube in it, and I saw like a Sweetwater demo of it. It sounded good. I thought that pedal sounded cool. Doesn't sound like a regular Tube Screamer. It sounds like it's got more, it's more open, a little more headroom, and more, it was a different sound in the video. Definitely. I thought it was cool. A little less like pedally, a little more ampy. Brendan says, I have toured the world with some of my idols, so I'm lucky in that respect, but at the moment, I keep thinking about quitting. Brendan's saying he's kind of done some really cool stuff in the industry, and then nothing's going on right now, and then he's thinking about quitting. Well, so dude, to be honest, like the touring thing, getting this happened to me for sure. Doing like various touring gigs, getting kind of caught up in the touring thing and tying up too much of your self-worth in playing with other people as a sideman. That became kind of an issue for me. The key for me was doing my own music, putting out my own record, getting creative, and this YouTube stuff, to be honest, it's like, it really helped me to kind of break out of that a little bit, like, because I was tying up all my kind of happiness in, first of all, there's the going on the road thing and getting used to being on tour, and it's like you're living high on the hog, kind of like, wow, I'm playing gigs in front of all these people every night, and it gets, no matter who you are, it gets to your head a little bit, because it's an ego rush, it is, it's like, it's fun. And then you come home and it's just you sitting on your couch. I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, like when you're on the road, you don't even pay for water, right? Like it's like there's bottles of water everywhere on the bus, backstage. It's just like you grab a few and throw them in your backpack to go back to the hotel or whatever. You don't. So the first time you got to go into a 7-Eleven and buy a bottle of water again, you're like, oh yeah, I have to pay for this stuff. So it's not like reality when you're on tour. And then you can come home and get like, it can be like a crash, like a, just like a bit of an emotional adjustment to go back to real life. Because it's not like a real life on tour. It's like this weird suspended animation. But then there's also the factor of like getting the gigs and tying up a lot of your like, yeah, I got this gig, so I must be badass or whatever in it. And maybe you get fired at some point, or maybe the artist just decides not to go on tour anymore, and you know, it's gonna take a couple years off or whatever. And now you're back home and you got nothing. Now you're like fighting to get to that next gig again, like getting on the phone, and like it's good because you're hungry, trying to get auditions and stuff, and trying to, you know, maybe literally hungry, not making money, you know. But getting too caught up in that cycle, and then your sort of your ego gets caught up in the gig. I don't think it's a good thing. And getting back to making music just for the, you know, because it's super fun, like you did when you were a kid, just to play, you know, the guitar and just like, wow, that's fun. It sounds great or whatever, you know, and just, you know, literally from the moment you pick up the guitar, oh wow, I can do it. You know, like that kind of enjoyment. Getting back to that and not worrying so much about the business end and you know. And so for me, that was making my own music and making my own record and just writing and sort of not caring what anybody thought. Like, I'm gonna make a record of the songs I want to make. If other people like it, that's okay. If they don't, that's okay too. So the whole reason I put a goofy picture of myself on the cover of Guitar Nerd was just like, this is me. I'm this nerd, and it's there I am, and if you like that, that's cool, and if you don't, that's okay too. It was like almost like a cleansing experience for me, you know, to just be like, I'm gonna do this, and it's not an audition. I'm not doing this for anyone else, you know. I'm doing this for me and putting it out there. And it's such a great thing to do, you know. I think, like, just make music, and even if you don't put it out, if you just do it for yourself or whatever, just playing guitar for the hell of it, basically, and making the music you want to make, and not getting too caught up in the, you know, the business, always hustling for the next gig and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that helps, Brendan. I don't know. That's what worked for me. I think I would be in a very different place had I never put out my own music and maybe done this YouTube stuff, and you know, just it's fun just being able to express yourself. Okay, so. Somebody said, O'Connell Gate says the process of creating has always been more interesting. Yeah, like maybe you're saying than playing live. For, you know, in a way for me too. Like the most fun for me is getting in the studio and writing a song, coming up with guitar parts and stuff like that, and laying it down, then hearing it back through the speakers. For me, that's probably the most fun. Searching for a band of gypsies fuzz octave sound. Need a fuzz and octaver. Do I have any idea? Have you tried that new Keeley pedal? I'm not going to remember the name of it, but it might be called the... Keeley made a pedal that's got all that stuff in one. It's basically like the Hendrix pedal with the octave, the fuzz, the vibe, like everything's in there. So you might want to check that out. I think. Oh, damn it. Stupid chat. Sorry, you guys. It moved around again. There's got to be a better way to do this, but it really is frustrating because I want to get to everybody's questions, and then the damn thing flies by, and then I'm going to miss a bunch of them. I know it. So I'm really sorry. I just got to go to a random place here and do the best I can. Isn't LA expensive? Yes, way too expensive. It sort of looks like Mars. It never rains, although it did this week. And there's fires and earthquakes, and it's really expensive. And sometimes I wonder why I live here. But there's things I love about it, too. Grass is always greener. How did I learn Chris Cornell's songs before joining him? Literally 12 hours before the audition. 5 songs. That's how it all started. Spoon Man, Cochise, Like a Stone, and 2 songs from the Carry On solo album. I had to learn at about 1 in the morning and then be at the audition at noon the next day. That's how it started. Then I got a call back and learned a few more for that, and then I got a 3rd call back and learned another one for that, I think. So then I was up to about 10 songs by then, and then I got the gig, and we started rehearsing like the next day, and it was like we would get 3 songs in our email every night, which was a magical time. It was like, okay, you got the gig, which was super exciting, obviously, and then it's like, and can you learn these 3 songs for tomorrow? We're going to start rehearsing, and it'd be like, you know, Rusty Cage, and You Know My Name, and something else, you know, and you'd be like, damn. And then the next day it'd be like all-day rehearsal, go home around 6 or 7 p.m., 3 songs in the email again that night, and it would be, you know, Black Hole Sun and something else and something else. It was like exhausting, but so fun. It was like, I can't believe I get to play these songs, you know. And then you go back the next day and play them with him. It was really, that 3 weeks of rehearsal before the first gig, we got up to about 40 songs, I think, before we played our first show. Eventually we could play about 110, I think. Audio Slave, Soundgarden, solo songs, Temple of the Dog. Jason Sutter, the drummer, he posted a little while ago the master sort of song list that he'd made, and it was over 100 songs, and we could pull any one of those out at any time, and it was really cool. But I remember that we started out with 40, and that period of learning those 40 songs, the first 3 weeks, was hard work and exhilarating and super fun all at the same time. Such great music. What's the best wattage for small gigs and at-home use? And head and cab or combo. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. It was Sir. We were talking about, like, for gigs. Like, for me, it depends on the kind of band you're in, right? But for me, 50 watts is a really nice number, but that's obviously too loud for at home. It depends on your band and the way your drummer plays. Like, so certain bands, like 15 watts is going to be fine, and with the other drummers, it's not. Because to me, a band always settles in around the drums. The way the drummer plays and the volume the drummer plays at. And this is the way that I set up my stuff in clubs or whatever. It's like whatever the drums are at, just pull up your amp, and it should sound kind of like a pre-mixed thing, like bass, guitar, drums with no PA and no monitors on. That should all be the same volume. And then beyond that is just the PA, right? So if you can get your amp in the zone around your drummer, and it's not like way too loud compared to the drums, but it's also not like really quiet compared to the drums, because that's the problem with many sound guys these days in clubs. It drives me bonkers. They want you to turn down your amp so low, and it's like, as soon as the drums start playing, you can't hear yourself at all, right? Common thing that happens. So my thing is always like, can I just play at the volume that the acoustic thing that's on stage is at? Because I know you're going to put the kick drum in the PA, even though it's loud up here, you know, and the snare. They're both going to be in the PA. So let me just be at the same volume and put me in the PA too. My Canadian logic. Anyway, I digress. But so it really depends on the band you're in and the way the drummer plays. And I would say anywhere from 15 to 50 watts is going to be the range. Now for at home, there's better ways, you know. It's either all about attenuation or like the little 1 watt amp I have here and stuff. Because I honestly, when I'm practicing, I want to play at like TV volume, you know. I don't want to play louder than that. Burn my ears out. My ears burn out so fast if I play loud now, like at home when I'm practicing, you know. Sit there and play for 45 minutes with the amp kind of blaring, and you're just like the ringing afterwards is, you know, I don't want that. So, do I play acoustic, and what kind do I like? I do. I play, I've got a few different ones. I've got a Martin D28. I've got a TAC Mini that I really love. I can't remember the model number, but it's kind of the auditorium or concert size or whatever. I'm not sure what body style. And it's got a cedar top, and it has a palm tree on the 12th fret. So if you're looking at the TAC Mini online catalog or anything, that's a great little guitar. And then I also have this Godin nylon string back here. Not really acoustic, but you know, to do nylon string stuff. The Godins are great live guitars because they don't feed back, and they just sound really good. What else do I have? Got a couple Gibsons. Gibsons, yeah, the Martin, the TAC Mini. TAC Mini's been very supportive of me going to Japan. When I go over there now, because the guitars are so consistent, they just lend me guitars, and I sort of pick out of a few when I get over there, and they've really been wonderful. Toshi Negabuchi, the guy I play with in Japan, is a big TAC Mini user for his whole career, and so we're pretty in tight with them. Let's see. Somebody's saying, Dylan says he's got an early 80s Laney Pro Tube 100. Any experience? Yeah, a little bit. I remember those amps. When they came to Canada in the 80s, there was a lot of people that were using those Laneys. Kick-Ass JCM, GMP Alternative. Yeah, they were good, as I remember. They kind of had a reputation for not being built that well, I think, but so did a lot of stuff, you know, back then. I remember those amps really well, the AOR amps. Let's see. Should I get a Friedman BE50 Deluxe or be patient and wait for the Sir PT50? I don't know. It depends on what you, you know, what you're into. These amps are coming. You know, my amps are coming. So, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Just going to be upfront about it. We're working on it. There's lots of cool stuff happening this week, though. We haven't even talked about that. It's NAMM week. So it's good stuff coming. Good stuff coming this week. It's gonna be cool. Have I had a chance to check out the UA Audio Aux top box? Not yet, but everything I've seen online looks amazing. I'm supposed to go by their booth at NAMM and work out getting one so that I can do a demo of it. It looks awesome. That thing, it's expensive, but it does a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like great sounding reactive load, reactive attenuator, and then all the, obviously recording, stuff. It's kind of the Rolls Royce, it looks like. So as long as it sounds good, and what I've heard online sounds good. The best demos I've seen, Sean just did one, Sean Tubbs, and I haven't had a chance to watch the whole thing. I saw the Sweetwater a while ago. Sweetwater one that the guy from UA did with Mitch Gallagher, and it's very thorough. And I don't know how much more you need to see beyond that. To be honest, that pretty much tells the story, and it seems to sound great. Love the idea of the room mics and the having that thing might make me get an iPad. Just have the iPad on the side of my desk there and be able to adjust the microphones and stuff. I've held off from getting an iPad. I've never owned one because of like Apple. You take enough of my money. When they brought that out, it was like, forget it. It's a bigger iPhone. I don't need it. But maybe for that, I would get one. Any new guitars? Check this out. Check this out. I got a 12-string. Dan Electro. These guys I was talking to the folks from Dan Electro, and I said, I really need a 12-string. So I finally got this. This just came like yesterday. So I haven't even had a chance to plug it in and tune it and stuff yet, but I'm so stoked to have a 12-string electric. And, it seems like it's really cool. So the neck is nice and wide, which is really nice on a 12-string, because you can, it's got a flat kind of fingerboard, should be relatively easy to play. But the 12-string's a guitar that I've never owned a 12-string electric. I always end up borrowing them and using friends and stuff, so I'm excited about that. What's been my favorite stint as a guitarist? As far as working for somebody, Cornell, for sure. It's just, that's it for me. But I've enjoyed all my tours tremendously for the past 15 years or so, What's my favorite Canadian TV show? Obviously, right? Come on. How's it going, eh? Bob and Doug, SCTV, Mel's Rock Pile. Yeah. Go YouTube Perry Como SCTV. I love SCTV. Perry Como, still alive. What else we got here? Hi from London, UAOX versus surreactive load versus two notes. Okay, so if we look at all those, kind of in both features and price-wise, the surreactive load is a very basic box that has like an incredible reactive load, my favorite load box that I've tried. But it doesn't host IRs and all that stuff. And it's about $399. It's the cheapest of anything you mentioned. Then you've got the two notes. They make their torpedo captor thing, which I guess is in the same kind of ballpark price-wise, right? I think. But then you've got their, the Torpedo Live, which is a terrific unit because it hosts impulse responses and stuff like that. So it's, nice and easy to use live. Take as a one-stop thing. Take it to a session or whatever. Line out. Your IRs are right in there. It's very easy. But it's around $700 or $800, right? I think $800-900, something like that. And then the UA OX or OX, whatever it's called, is more like $12.99, I think. So it's like 4 times the price or 3 times the price of the reactive load. So 3 times the price. I think it seems like the ultimate solution, but I don't know, $1,200 to $1,300, And so some people are going to want to just use the thing as a studio tool as well, load box. And at that point, do you need anything more than the SUR, So you have to ask yourself what you want. For certain things, the Torpedo Live has been absolutely the easiest and best solution for me. For other things, I use the reactive load on a daily basis in the studio because it's my favorite sounding load box. And then I host the IRs in the computer anyway, which I like to do because then I can get in the plug-in and switch things around, mix in the room mics and do all that kind of stuff. With the UA thing, it kind of has all of that. So, but I haven't tried the load either in the UA. I still have to try it and make sure the load. I'm kind of picky about the load, and like I want to compare it to a cabinet and see how the load sounds when I'm loading with a real cabinet. That's a real important thing for me, to know how that box is affecting the sound of the amplifier before we get into any speaker simulation and stuff like that. So, yeah. Piece of gear that I most want now. Well, it's coming out this week at the NAMM show, but I can't tell you what it is yet. Let's see. What is the best reactive load box sub 500? The Sir. That's my, there's some other good ones out there too that are good. The Sir is my favorite. Let's see here. Marshall Code is weird. Yeah, those modeling amps. I don't know. I've never even tried one. Let's see. How many Sir guitars do I have? I don't know. I'm not actually sure about that. I have to think about it. Okay, looking for another question here. How do I fix the volume difference with humbuckers? From single to hum, you feel like there's a big difference. Well, first of all, you got to make sure that the pickups are balanced. Like, in other words, putting a 14K humbucker in a guitar with low output single coils is going to be tough. You can only get so far with raising and lowering. But generally, like if you've got the bridge humbucker down a little bit, if it's not right up against the strings, and then the problem with raising singles is it's like you start to get that stratitis where the magnets in the single coils pull on the strings, especially on the low E, and kind of make it impossible to intonate and also affect sustain and things. So it's just a balance. I've had great luck with the Thornbucker and the V60 LPs in my hum single guitars, just with the outputs. The other thing you can do is do the parallel thing on the humbucker and the bridge. So on my guitars, this is easiest to demonstrate with a clean sound. But so the bridge pickup, I can go to parallel by just pulling the tone control. So that's switching this pickup from series to parallel. So it's still humbucking, but there's a compressor on in the sound too. So let me turn that off. Oh, I don't know how to do that. This is a clean sound, so you'll really hear this difference in volume, but that's switching series to parallel. So now if I go to the next pickup position, it's going to be the two pickups in, this is the two single coils, like inside coils of these two pickups. So now if I go to the bridge, put it in parallel, it's about the same volume, right? So that can really help balance. Putting your humbuckers, if you've got a series parallel switch and you really want to be able to get a nice balance, being able to put that pickup in parallel is a huge help. And it kind of sounds like a single coil, There's a nice kind of quasi Telecaster thing. Okay. Have I ever messed around with extended range guitars like 7 and 8 strings? No, not really. I haven't. I would like to try it, but to be honest, I don't like the way they sound from what I've heard. Like, they just sound like muddy to me, a lot of them. Especially, the heavy stuff. It's like, I don't know. I like to leave that up to the bass player. I'd rather have a 6-string guitar and tune the low strings down, kind of, Soundgarden Kaya style or whatever. And just go that route, I think. I would try one at some point. 7-string, get one, try it, see if I like it. I don't know. It seems to make sense if you're going to do it, to do the fan fret ones with a longer scale on the low strings, because then they're more taut. Like, there was this baritone acoustic. There's a video of me playing what the hell was it called? Beneteau, I think. Baritone acoustic. If you search on YouTube for my name and baritone acoustic, I'm sure it pops up. But like that guitar, this sounded like an orchestra to me. I love the sound of that guitar. It was so beautiful. So I'd love to get one of those someday, like a nice baritone. Long scale, helps, I think. Longer scale with those guitars. It's a little bit different thing than the kind of more metal 7 and 8 strings, though. What are my favorite albums of last year? I got turned on at Chelsea Wolfe recently, and I love what she's doing. And then my other kind of favorite, I forgot to bring this up the other day because somebody was asking me what I'm listening to now. Maybe that was last week on this. And I was going to mention Black Rebel Motorcycle Club is like my jam lately. I just bought a ticket to go see them in February. That band, if you guys have never listened to BRMC, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, start with the Baby 81 album, which is like one of my favorite rock and roll records of the last 20 years for sure. They are making kick-ass rock and roll the way it's supposed to be made in my mind. So I've been listening to a lot of them lately. They've got a new record out that I haven't even had a chance to listen to yet, but and then I brought up that Beck album last week, I think, which was the Morning Phase album, which is amazing. All totally different, all this music that I just brought up. Chelsea Wolfe, BRMC, and Beck. Let's see. Thoughts on similarities between the BEOD and Riot? I guess they could be kind of similar. The BEOD, maybe the Eclipse is a better one to kind of put in there. Maybe not. I don't know. The original Riot sounded very modern to me, very full, like very full range kind of distortion. Maybe not unlike the Sherlock tube distortion pedal that I just demonstrated. Very full sort of sound, not necessarily like super Marshall-y, more like a modern kind of gain. And then with the Riot Reloaded, they went more in the kind of more Marshall-y, modded Marshall-y directions. The Riot Reloaded, I would say, would be the closest to the BEOD. And the BEOD is, I think, a really, really nice distortion pedal. It's got a lot of gain for me, but I would almost like one with like half the gain. But it is a really, really cool sound if you want that modded thing. And it's got the great presence and treble controls that really let you fine tune it to just about any amp, which I sort of demonstrate in the video I did for it. Okay, in my song Clean to Scream, do I use a Phase 90 pedal? Maybe. I think I did in the last solo. Yeah, maybe so. I'm trying to remember, dude. I think I did in the end. It's a fun thing to turn on. Like that sounds like something I would do. Like towards the end, do the almost Eddie Van Halen thing or whatever, and just what am I going to do to add something over the top? Just Phase 90, simple, like just on the slow sweep to kind of give the last solo, something special, some extra sauce. How much do I practice? Not that much. I don't really get that much time to practice, to tell you the truth, but I'm working all the time. I'm always playing guitar and writing, so I guess that's sort of practice, but not really. I wish I practiced more. Let's see here. I can't decide, Jason says, if I should buy a few Strymon pedals or a Headrush pedal board. You have a Hughes & Kettner 20 Deluxe at 212, and I don't know if I want to switch. So my advice there is I do both, and it's like there's something magical about just having pedals and knobs right in front of you, and then the kind of modular approach to pedals. A lot of people are like, why don't you just use a Helix now, or AX8 or FX8 or whatever, instead of why do you got to use your pedal board? That was a common thing when I did the pedal board videos recently. Like, why are you still using pedals? And it's like, well, why is there 5 million pedals on the market? Because it's popular, because it's like the modular thing is fun. Mixing and matching different boxes and trying different things, as opposed to sort of being locked into one manufacturer's idea of like, here's your selection of pedals, which is always huge. Always a gazillion things there, and it's always very practical, all in one box, But there's something fun about pedal boards still. So you have to ask yourself what kind of person you are. Like, if you really enjoy the sort of like using various pedals and being able to occasionally change things, and that's fun. It's simpler, and there's something fun about it. But maybe you're like, I just don't care about this stuff. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, they had bought an expensive guitar pedal or a couple pedals or something, and then they were trying them, going like, I think I enjoy just using my Helix more than this. Like, it's like, what did I get this stuff for? There's going to be that too, like people that really bond with this new kind of like, using the computer editor to edit things and be able to easily change chains of effects and things like that. And so there's something fun about that too. You just sort of be honest with yourself before you make a purchase, what kind of person you are and what seems like the most fun to you. And also if just the most important thing might be the ease of use and organizational thing of like having a modeler is as simple, and, organizing presets and making sets in the editor and all that stuff. That could be your bag or not, YGM 100 was a great amp. I agree, says Paul. Yeah, it seemed good. I don't know how well they were built or anything, but I heard nothing but good things about that amp. Like, it was like, everybody was like, yeah, this is like a great usable Plexi. So that's pretty cool. I wish they should still make it. Why do they stop making stuff like that? Bonkers. Somebody saying a JCM 800 5025 would be awesome. That is a good idea. JCM 800 with a half power switch, you know. Do like a modern version or something. People basically just want a better mousetrap these days, you know? Like, it's not rocket science, I don't think. It's just like, you know, take a good guitar amp and then make it somehow usable for recording and for live, cutting down the volume, add a couple extra features in, you know, but it's like, it's not much more difficult than that, I don't think. Which is, of course, what we're trying to do with the, like, you know, PT amps and stuff like that, as soon as we can get them done. Okay, so Queen Lizzie says, how do we get you on Spotify? So I've got a single coming out this week, new song. There's going to be a video for it, and it's a super fun tune, and it's coming out first day in NAMM, so it'll be out on Thursday, and you'll be able to get it iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, all that stuff, but it's also going to be on Spotify. I'm going to put it on Apple Music and Spotify for streaming. So this week. And I will probably do that with at least like 3 or 4 songs off my new record. I'll make them available on Spotify as singles or whatever, and you'll be able to check them out that way. But then I hope people will go and get the rest of the record from iTunes. That's what I hope, because at the end of the day, the streaming stuff sucks for independent artists. It just sucks. It sucks for every artist, but if you're a big artist, you've got other ways to make money, you know? As an independent artist, it's like you're pretty much just making music and just putting it out there for free. So it's just like, here it is, hope you love it, you know? And it's not like an option to make money. Which is like, you know, if you spend a couple months or, you know, on and off a year or two making a record, it would be nice, right? Like I always say, you know, I have no problem going and paying like $3 or $4 for a cup of coffee. Obviously, we all seem to do that these days. But when it comes to music, everybody kind of wants to stream, and there's just nothing in it, you know, for artists. But I am going to put the single out on Spotify and stuff like that this week, so it's going to happen. Yep. I had hoped to have the whole record done this week, but that wasn't reality. But at least there's a nice video and a single coming, and then the rest of it to follow, hopefully pretty soon. Are the days of mic recording and amp going away, replaced by modeling processors like the Black Widow? I don't think they're going away, no. I think that that you're always going to see people sticking mics in front of guitar amps. There's a lot of engineers that aren't ready to do, even the IR route, a lot of people are, it's still in its infancy as far as like I see. Like I haven't seen a lot of people in like pro studios doing it, for instance, you know, like big studios. They're still miking things. It's mostly that kind of like home studio revolution where people are doing it. But I think with, you know, probably UA moving in with this new box and stuff, and they've obviously got a big pro audio following, and people are going to end up trying the stuff more and get into it. So, but it's all good, you know. What is the best Plexi setup for home bedroom use? My little JTM1 back here. I'll show you guys this next week. How about that? I'll hook it up and play it. Like, it's a little JTM 45 style one that I've got sitting back here. I just don't have it hooked up right now, and I don't want to take the time to do it. But I'll do it through this microphone, so you can just hear what it sounds like in the room, and you can check it out. It's the little baby, you know, 1 watt Marshalls, either the JTM1 or the 70s one called JMP one, you know, depending if you want a more 60s or 70s kind of thing. Why did I start using the DD500 instead of the Timeline? A lot of people ask me that. 3 question marks, though, you really want to know. That's from Marcus. Marius. It was Dave Friedman's recommendation. He said, why don't you try a different, you know, try this. He really likes it. He built a few rigs with it, and he thought it sounded great in effects loops, which is where I run it. So I said, sure, and I got one and tried it out, and sure enough, it sounds really great. There's a few things I like about it a lot. Like, for example, mapping the expression pedal to the mix control. I don't really like on the Strymon how you have to kind of do it like using the knobs, the mapping it, like here's the low point, here's the high point. I've always had an issue with that. And on the Boss, you actually do it in the menu, and you can kind of set the low point and the high point via just numbers on the, you know, and then experiment a little bit. And it's just it's a less convoluted way to do things. So there's a few things like that that I like. The sound of the thing is terrific. It sounds great. I'm enjoying using it. You know, the Strymon was always good though. I used it for 7 or 8 years. Really, I always say the main reason I changed is because I just wanted to try something else after 7 years. You know, it's like driving the same car for 10 years or 14 years or 15 years. Keep buying the same car. It's like, maybe I should try a different brand just for the hell of it, because you only live once. Okay, how does the Cert Alt-T Pro sound with Thornbuckers? How does it compare to the signature model tone-wise? Well, it's a different thing. It's got an ash body. It's very airy. It's got that 70s kind of hollow telly thing going on more to me, you know. It's a really, really cool, like, kind of like, I wouldn't use it for metal or something, you know, but like for rootsy kind of stuff, rock and roll or country, it's got that air. It's got the, you know, mine's hollow, right? Semi-hollow, so it's got some air to it, and chime with the Swamp Ash too. Swamp Ash to me always like has a slightly more hollow, a little bit scooped mids kind of thing. You know, compared to my signature model, is way more mids and, you know, mahogany. What's next? Quentin wants to know how I got to be so cool. I don't think I'm very cool. I do the best I can, but I was definitely a nerd. Hard work. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thoughts on the Line 6 M9? Good box. Go check out Line 6 this year at NAMM. They got some cool stuff coming. They do. Or check it out online. On that note, let's see. Somebody's 48 years old today. That's Mr. K. Mr. K is 48. Happy birthday, Mr. K. Everybody wish Mr. K a happy birthday in the chat. 48. 2 more years to go. Hurtling towards 50, I always like to say. Sorry. I didn't want to remind you of that, but had to. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. What's with the nationalist or alt-right haircut? Or maybe you're just a big Morrissey fan. This isn't an alt-right haircut. Look, my hair's going up in the middle. Those guys, they all go to one side. That's the difference. I like having it short on the sides, though. It just feels good. There. Those guys don't do this, man. Come on. What else? Oh, I felt like I was getting a cold, says Hendrix. That's right. Hendrick. Last week. Yeah, that never transpired. I didn't get sick. So I'm all good. Okay, is a Neo Creamback or G12M 65 a good high power alternative for a G12M 25 watt? Yes. The Neo Creamback is a fantastic sounding speaker. It sounds like a good worn-in greenback. Maybe I like it more than the regular greenback even. So that's a good tip, and they weigh like half of what a regular greenback weighs. Really, really good sounding speaker. The Neo Creamback. Try it out, you know, save weight. And I was blown away. I thought they did an amazing job. It's tough because they basically have to, it's a bit of a moving target. Like they start with the Neo Magnet or whatever, and it's so different than, you know, the regular ceramic magnet that would be on a greenback. And then they have to kind of like, you know, try different things to make the speaker sound like the one that we're used to. And so that was all explained to me by Celestian. There's a lot of sort of, you know, experimentation and stuff that's involved to get it in the ballpark of the tone of the ceramic magnet. Man, they nailed it, because I heard them both at Celestian in 112s, and I A-B'd the 65 watt creamback, the greenback, regular 25 watt greenback, and then the Neo Creamback. And I think the Neo Creamback was actually my favorite out of all three of them. So it's like I said, building a better mousetrap, you know, it weighs so much less than a regular, you know, and it had a little less of the fizz on the top end that the regular greenback had. Like it sounded like a broken in one to me, like one that had been beat up for a long time. It sounded nice and warm. It was really good sounding. So give it a shot. Have I tried a quilter amp? I have never tried a quilter. No. Have I ever tried Carol Ann? No, but I like them in the models that I've tried. I've tried the Carol Anns in the AX8, for example. There's a video of me playing Homage for my last album on YouTube in my old house, you know, in Santa Monica or whatever. And one of the amps in there for the solo was one of the Carol Ann models. It always sounded really good to me. So, excuse me. Let's see, Chapman HSS guitar with a mahogany body. The single coil pickups are very MIDI, and I want them to sound more open and Fendery. Any suggestions? This is Simon Williams asking about pickups, single coils. I would try, if you want to try some Surs, try the V70s. They're a little more scooped sounding, a lower output, kind of a, you know, nice and glassy. So I would give those a try. I don't know what Chapman used, but the V70s are the most kind of mid-scooped pickup that that Sir makes, and I think they might sound really good for that tone, actually. Have I ever played a Morin amp? No, I haven't, actually. I'm up to about 500 people right now. It's so awesome. And I'm sorry, I'm so far back in the chat, so anybody sticking around for the last hour is probably just got to their question. So I'm going to move down a little bit here. Okay. How did that Shure ULXD wireless work in Japan, and am I particular about wireless? So it worked great. The only problem I have with them is that they add some hiss. The tone is great. They basically sound the same. But anything with an analog to digital converter that you run in front of a gainy amp adds hiss, it seems. And this goes for stomp box effects. You know, a lot of them, if they're a digital effect, you know, we'll add, you know, without naming names. But it seems like anything that's got an ADD converter in it that you put in front of gain, it just, you hear that noise floor go up, you know. And as soon as you pull the input cable to the amp, oh, that's where the noise is coming from. So the Shure Wireless did that. And I almost wish they would put a gate in them or something, you know. But it's a great sounding wireless, and in practice it doesn't really matter. It's just some extra hiss that, you know, once the band starts playing, you do not hear that stuff, so it's not a big deal. And like I say, it's only in front of a lot of gain that you really notice it. So like channel 3 on my amp, when I'm going to take a solo or whatever, that's when I would hear it. Whatever, you know, it was just an observation. Be like, I wish I could get rid of that. And I don't remember my AKG wireless, which has been my main wireless that I use in the States and stuff, doing that. I don't think it's as noisy as the Shure. But nonetheless, sure sounded good. It sure sounded good. God, that was terrible. It was a pun, and I didn't even mean to do it. Okay. Moving down, because, yeah, stupid chat jumped around. What artist am I playing with now? My touring gig is Nagabuchi Chiyoshi in Japan. I just go to Japan for work now. That's it. And then when I'm in the States, to do sessions and make videos. So that's what I've been doing. And work on my own music when I have time. What about the Weber reactive load? They call it a speaker motor attenuator. I had one in 2004. I had one of those things. Don't like it, to be honest. Wasn't a fan. That's my honest feel about it. Just didn't. It changed the tone of the amp. Like a lot of load boxes do. So thoughts on either UA Apollo single, duo, or quad? How much power needed for an average session? If you want as much as you can. As much as you can get. If you can afford the quad, I would do it. The duo is what I have in my little thing that you're hearing me talk through right now, actually, and it's fine for working at home and stuff. But you do some plugins, like the Ocean Way Studios plugin, which is awesome, and I love it. It eats a lot of the, you know, you'll see the meter on the UA thing just as soon as you put that thing on. It's using like, maybe not half, but it's using like 30% or something of the resources. And so it's like, you know, you want to be able to run, well, the UA stuff, the plugins are, you know, unparalleled, and I think they're incredible, but, you know, that comes at a price, I guess, with processing power and stuff like that. So get the one that has the most power you can afford, or the most, you know, the processors. I would recommend the Duo, at least. Yeah, for some people, the single one will be fine. It just depends on what you're doing. It's just when you're doing sessions that have, you know, more than, say, you know, 10 tracks of stuff going on or something. Thoughts on Line 6 wireless systems? I have the little one here, the little G10. Does it color the tone in a bad way? No, it's great. You know, a lot of the things with these digital wirelesses, it's not affecting your tone at all beyond the ADD converter. So as long as they have a good ADD converter, then the information is just digital and it's getting sent, and that's it. The G75 was great. Years ago, I had some problems with them. Like trying to use them, but this is a long time ago. The older Line 6, some of them, they would have dropouts, and this is not an uncommon knowledge thing, so I don't feel bad about saying it. It's just true. Some of them years ago, in certain environments like casinos and things, because I tried to use them live, I had issues. But the new stuff is all different. So they gave me a G75 to use recently to try for local stuff and stuff, and that thing sounds awesome. You know, it's a little like pedal board one. And it's got a nice newly designed, like redesigned pack that's metal and real solid. The older ones are like these kind of different packs or whatever. This one's got a sort of real thin metal pack on it that's really cool. And sounds great. It's got an AB out. I think it's got an XLR out on it, which is really cool too if you want to, you know, run to for acoustic. No reservations. I'm not. So the only thing about them, and I've told them this, is that I'm not, and they might have a model out now, I'm just not sure, but many times when you're doing a big touring gig now, international kind of touring gig, or, you know, big stages and that kind of thing, especially if there's a lot of people in the band, or if there's, you know, dancers and that kind of thing, like the pop production, they want to tell you what frequency to set your wireless at. So in other words, they've got somebody sometimes there's a person that's their only job on the crew is wireless. And they basically, you know, because they might have a band with 10 or 15 people in it, and then dancers and different people, and all these people need different in-ear mixes. So there's a ton of wireless going everywhere, and then there's all the musicians playing, and they need their wireless frequencies too. So somebody will go in and they'll scan all the frequencies, find the, you know, shitty spots where there's dropouts or whatever, and eliminate those, and they assign wireless to all these frequencies. So it's like, okay, for all the in-ear mixes, here's a whole bunch of wireless frequencies. For all the guitar and bass, here's a bunch of wireless frequencies. And they basically come and tell your tech, okay, you are 638.2 today, and your backup is 541.3. And you have to be able to set your wireless to those. And on the wirelesses from Shure and AKG and stuff like that, you can do that. You can just scroll through and pick the exact frequency that you want. And I'm not sure if you can do that yet or not on some of the newer Line 6 stuff. I'm not 100% sure about that. So that was the only thing that I told them that they should be aware of. You know, just for super high-end pro level gigs, that would be a disqualifier from people being able to use their wirelesses, not being able to select an exact frequency. Good bright speaker for hard rock. Well, the classic is the V30. The same thing that some people hate about it, which is the upper mid spike, is the thing that makes it do its thing. So it's part of the sound, and it works in a mix context. Be a little bit abrasive on its own, but it's like, it's part of the sound of rock for the last 30 years, for sure, you know. Okay, somebody's been, let's see here, Marmalade has been struggling with recording a Marshall DSL, just lacks thickness and balls despite trying a lot of things. What would you recommend to replace a 2-channel Marshall with good cleans? Well, there's a Sur amp. The PT100, of course. It's the ultimate Marshall on 2 and 3, and then with the best clean channel on earth. You know, in my opinion, it'd be a nice step up from DSL for sure. Okay. Looking for another one here. Marmalade Cream says, tempted to go single channel amp like Sur SL67. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, do the vintage roll down volume for clean and turn it up and hit a pedal for lead, you know. That's a good way to go. If you haven't tried it for a while, it's going to be kind of freeing using just a single channel amp, you know, like just like, all right, all this stuff and bells and whistles and stuff, I'm just going to get an old school Marshall or whatever, make it work. Especially if you got a guitar that's versatile where you can roll the volume down and get a nice clean sound. You know, it'd be pretty cool. Depends what kind of music you're doing and stuff. Okay. Anton says, for everyone on a Mac, system preferences, accessibility, play stereo audio as mono will fix Pete's voice coming in from one channel only. Shall I try that? System preferences. Where's accessibility now? That's the only thing. See if I can find it quickly here in the next 10 seconds. And if I can't, we will move on. I don't see anything that says accessibility. Oh, there it is. Found it. And looking for, is that voiceover? No. Audio. Play stereo audio as mono. Okay, I just hit that. And now you guys can tell me if that's working or not. So voice still working, yeah, I can see it going into the thing. So anybody that's listening in stereo, let me know if that just switched to mono. And can you hear the, is the guitar also, you know, coming mono up the middle? Everything in mono? No? Center? Let me know. This is a question from Simto. What advice would I give to someone who wants to move to Tokyo and pursue a career as a guitar player? And do I think it's too late to do it at 30? My only advice that was told to me by somebody recently is that if you come there and you're hired by a Japanese artist, it's a kind of an exclusive thing where they're like, you know, they're very happy to have you there, and it's like, you know, it's like a prestigious thing, right? If you get hired by an artist and then you're brought over. If you move there or attempt to move there and then start looking for gigs, it can be a little bit more like, well, what are you doing here? Couldn't you make it in your own country? So a little bit of that, like where there's a bit more stigma involved. So I don't know, to be honest. I've only done it where I've been hired in advance and then gone over. As far as going there and trying to, you know, especially if you don't speak Japanese, it's next to impossible. So, and it's a difficult, they've got fairly strict immigration requirements and stuff like that too. It's not the easiest place in the world, I would say, to emigrate or, you know, get work visas and things like that. So just be aware of that. Cheers from Toronto. Thoughts on a 6 or 8 Fender Vibrochamp for recording? Maybe a little small for me for recording. Vibrochamp, it could be an awesome sound. Just depends what you're going for. But I would say, for me, a great recording little amp is like the Princeton. You know, 68 Princeton style amp would be an awesome alternative, I think. It's just a little bit bigger, a little bit more. Isn't a Vibrochamp has an 8-inch speaker, don't they? It's a little too small for me, but 10-inch is nice in a Princeton. Let's see here. Why did I stick with the traditional boxed heel on my signature guitar? I don't have a problem with it, actually. I find it's this is great. I mean, compared to most Strats, it's got the slope on it. And this is just the standard Sur neck heel. And I've never had an issue with it. Like, my hand doesn't even make contact. Just maybe it's the way my hand is, but I love the Sur neck heel. I think it's a perfect, you know, for me. So I just, to tell you the truth, I never even thought about it. I'm just very comfortable with it. So it's just their regular one. Okay, let's see here. Any smack on the road? No. In all seriousness, so the news about Petty this week, you know, with the fentanyl thing, and when we look back at the last year, you know, with Prince, just kids, stay away from the opiates, you know, that's all I can say. It's just horrible, you know, what's going on, and it's just got to be a zero tolerance policy, personally, I think, for that kind of stuff. Just do not get involved, like, in ever taking any opiates ever. You know, I know that that's not really reality for some people. If they have a work injury or something happens, you know, they prescribe you something and it's the only thing that might give you relief. But if you can at all avoid ever getting, just that shit is poison, you know. And now we've seen, you know, wasn't it the singer from the Cranberries as well, right? Wasn't it that? Or am I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I thought I heard it was that. I could be wrong. Maybe that hasn't come out yet, so I'm sorry if I. But the petty news came out the other day, and it's like, just like, come on, you know, really horrible, you know. Anyway, any thoughts on how Eric Johnson gets his sounds? I'm going to see him this week on Thursday night, do the Avia Musicom thing at NAMM. He's playing the whole album, which I'm super excited about because that was a really important record to me. So that should be fun. He's totally unique with the way he gets his sounds and kind of dials in the, but what, you know, it's like, God, what tones, you know, with sort of the, you know, the darker thing on the Marshall and stuff. It's just, I don't even really actually understand. It's been a long time since I've researched his rigs, but he always had incredible guitar sounds. Hard to argue with, although, you know, people were like, oh, you can hear the difference of the fuse direction in the amp or whatever, or he says he can, you know. I don't know about all that, but the results certainly are, you know, some amazing tones that he's gotten over the years. Mad respect for that guy. Okay. Queen Lizzie says, asking because you are a rock star, what kind of car do you drive? I'm not a rock star. I work with rock stars. BMW 4 Series. That's my car. Let's see here. How do I fix the volume difference with Thornbuckers? From single to hum, you feel a big difference. Oh, that was the same question from before? Or no, that's a different question. Just drop the Thornbucker if you're using it in the bridge and then you got singles. I mean, literally dropping a Thornbucker, like, you know, so that there's, you know, if there's this much gap, make it that much gap, you know, between the pickup and the strings, and it should be enough. You know, I don't have a problem with it. Certainly not any more than any other hum single. It should balance quite well. And like I was mentioning before, I already talked about the whole parallel thing, which will totally balance it. But part of the thing to me is having a bridge humbucker and then a neck single coil. Like the lower output pickup is part of the thing, so that I can get real clean and quieter. And I also use compressor a lot on my clean sound, so that's got something to do with it too. But it's like, I don't want the output of the single coils to be as loud as the humbucker, really. But I want there to be a little bit of difference there, you know. Justin Derrico calling. I'm going to call him back. I saw him yesterday, and he's such a great dude, and he's a monster on guitar. Oh, my God. Ridiculous. I need to take lessons. He actually gave me a little lesson, and I filmed it. He's showing me this really cool key of E, different chord voicings thing. Okay. Yeah, I'm way back in the questions, so hang in there. I'm going to go forward a little bit. DSL-40 needs a new speaker. Play Southern Rock suggestion. I am going to say Neil Creamback in your DSL-40. Is that a combo? Try the Creamback, and your back will thank you too. Yeah. Another nice speaker for a combo can be the Neil Creamback. Go Creamback. What else? Do I have a system or process for archiving my musical ideas? The recorder on the Mac iPhone is the best thing ever. When I come up with a riff, I just turn on the recorder thing and put it in there, give it a little title so I can remember what it is, and then like 2 years later I go, yeah, what was that thing? And go back and check it out. It's great. Zen Drive, original, Hermedia. Any thoughts? Great. Used it on the solo for 10th Street from my last record. That's the Zen Drive into my Fender 66 Bassman with my 335, and that's one of the more luxurious tones on that record, I think. The stupid thing just jumped around. Okay, I almost feel like going to the end and working backwards. God damn it, I tell you. That's so annoying. I was doing so well here. I was trying to move fast, and then I just completely lost my place. Okay. Sorry. I'm just going to start here. Okay. How do I stay in shape as a guy who plays way too much guitar, is in his mid-40s? You're losing the battle of the bulge. Honestly, the quickest thing you can do is don't eat bread. Gluten. That's the big one. Personally, I've said this before on this show, but it's literally, I've got 4 or 5 people that I've seen lose in their 40s, 50s, and 60s even, that I've personally witnessed losing 10, 15, 20 pounds by just stopping eating gluten. So kind of amazing. A few of my friends that were, getting up there, and they all dropped that weight, and they just don't, or at least eliminating it. But it really is, when that bread basically, it just hits your bloodstream and just turns to sugar. It's basically like sugar. So stopping it with all that, and then limiting. Don't just like basically paleo. You can eat meat, chicken, fish, whatever, and then do fruit in sort of limited, because it's real sugary too. But as many veggie, as much as you want, obviously. So protein, vegetables, and just limit the carby, sugary stuff, and it just works. I don't know. It's kind of amazing. Just ordered some Sir ML pickups to go with the Thornbucker Plus. What's my thoughts on these? Great. I like the ML Classic, which is the pickup on my Strat in the neck. So the original pickup's in the middle of the bridge, but there's an ML Classic in the neck. It's the only guitar I have with an ML. The other ones are all V60s, but in the Strat, it's just great. That was Sir's recommendation that I try it, and I think it's a terrific sounding. A lot of people say, well, that guitar sounds amazing, so, online people say that. I see the comments about the neck pickup and stuff, so I guess it's working. I certainly like the tone. Okay, keep moving down. Will your signature guitar come out in other colors, says Steven. Well, you have to wait for Thursday. This week. NAMM show. Let's see, will I ever tour to support my own music? I sure hope so. I'd at least like to do the clinic thing more this year, and get out and do that. We did a couple in Canada. It was super fun, and I feel like a big success. And so I'm really interested in doing this year primarily. But as far as the music, I've always felt like I need another record out first before I do a tour on my own. I need at least a couple records, and gotta be like at least 20 songs to pick from there, and then maybe. What humbucker pickup is in the white Strat, sir? I have a Thornbucker. Yeah, it's a Thornbucker Plus. And yeah, I changed to that a while ago, and it's once we put out the Plus model, I put it in there. It's great. Any experience with noiseless pickups? Beyond, no, not really. To be honest, I don't really mind noisy pickups. Like, it's not like the classic single coils and old guitars and stuff. I don't mind. I just deal with it. Occasionally, I'll put a gate on things, but that's never been a huge. I just kind of like, it's part of the tone, and it's never been like, oh, I need a set of noiseless to deal with this. It's like not something that's been in my way of thinking about things. I know some people drive them crazy single coil noise, but what do I think about the 5152 amp? I never really tried that amp. The EVH 5153 amplifier. Sorry, I'm reading this all wrong. I thought you were talking about the PV 5152. The EVH 5153. There's a volume difference between the clean channel and the blue channel. I have heard that. You can give Dave Friedman a call and ask him if there's anything you can do to fix that. You're talking specifically about the smaller 50-watt one, right? With the kind of shared control. I've heard Dave talking to people about that before, and he might have a fix for that. Let's see here. PRS McCarty, Carina pickups, or it's Carina, and the pickups sound very harsh. Any recommendations in Carina? If the pickups sound harsh, maybe try an Alnico 2 style humbucker. If you're finding like it's excessively, like something like a Seth Lover or something, might be nice. I would think, if you're specifically going for a darker thing, but that's still clear. Yeah, try Seth Lovers with like chrome covers. Be warmer, not break the bank. Yeah, stupid chat bounced way back, so I'm seeing things I answered 20 minutes ago, but trying, let's see. Any experience with Reason as a DAW? No. I used Reason a little bit when I first got Pro Tools, like a long time ago, but I never, I'm sure it's completely different now. Can I explain the high and low gain options in the Celestion impulses? So, yeah, they made some mixes of different microphones, and then they call them like low gain and high gain. So like, I guess they're optimized for low gain sounds or high gain sounds. You know, where they blended like say a 57 and a 121 together on a certain speaker or whatever, and they do a low gain and high gain mix. I use the high gains. I find the low gain ones are quite bright for me, unless you wanted really, you know, the low gain specifically, if you were playing really clean and wanted really nice, sparkly, clean sounds, they might work. But as soon as I add any gain, it's just too much, I find. So, you know, whatever the engineer that did it, I guess he decided that was the right blend. It's not right for everybody, but the high gain one works for just about everything for me. They're really good. So I just use those. But that was what they had in mind, was like, these ones are for lower gain sounds, these ones are for higher gain sounds. That was kind of the thing. And the higher gain ones are generally warmer. Okay. Let's see, moving down. Have I ever played an original 1970s high watt? Yeah, and played one a couple weeks ago at the Sunset Jam, actually. I think it was an 81, actually, but still, you know, the original thing, 50 watt. And that was really fun. Doing another Brick in the Wall part 2. It was cool. Always dig playing that solo. High watts are great. I'd like to get one, actually, like a great healthy old one. I'd just love to have one of these days. Coco Tumnus Ryra, or other mid boosts with Bassman. I don't know. They're all good. I mean, the Tumnus is nice and tunable. The Ryra is a good sounding cloney clone. I use the Archer a lot these days. That's kind of, you know, my one of choice. But the Tumnus is great. It's great too. Excuse me. Do I use Logic or Pro Tools? Logic. If you need more UA power, you can add a satellite. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but if you're a user of UA interfaces, they've got like this satellite thing that you can plug in that's just basically more juice, more DSP, so you can add more plugins. Okay. Moving down. What's my take on Godin guitars as a brand? They're great. I have the nylon string right back over there on the wall, if you can see it. I'm a fan. They're cheaper brands. Seagull. I had one of those when I was a kid, and then into my 20s, it was like my only guitar I had with a pickup, actually. And I did some pro work with it and stuff, and it was still, you know, it was a good guitar. They're well-made guitars, and I don't know how they do them so cheap and do them in North America, actually. So yeah, I had a fondness for them. I think they're pretty good. What time frame did I play with Henley? Saw him live in San Francisco, October 2010. Yes, I did that. I started on that tour, September of 2010 through 2015. So, about 5-6 years, I guess, I played with him. Actually, was it 2010 San Francisco? Or was it 2009? I think that might... I started in 2009, fall of 2009, so I played with him for 6 years. Let's see, somebody's using a Vox 8100 VT modeling amp, just thinking missing out on a good tone, not sure what you're missing. Well, you'll never know until you try. You know, no matter what, there's no substitute for getting in a room and just trying stuff, so if there's a way that you can get, you know, see if you can find a good old AC30, even a 90s one or something, and see if it sounds like you're modeling Vox, you know, to you. Turn it up, see if you're missing anything. It's an interesting thing. Generally with amps, I know within a note or two, you know. It's like when I first tried the Comet, I played one note, and I was like, oh, because it blossomed into 3 notes, the feedback and stuff. And, you know, kind of right away, it's like, oh my God, that sounds, or like one chord, you know, and it's just this magic thing. Like, that's what I found with most really amazing amps. Old Marshalls are like that, or, you know, it's just like power and feels good, you know, or other ones might seem really shitty and harsh to you, you know. Are the majority of my demo videos done with the server reactive load and IRs, or do I mic? These days, it's mostly the... I would say that that's a fair assessment, that in the last 2-3 years, it's been mostly the load box and the impulse responses. It's just so easy, you know, so it's like a great representation of a mic'd up guitar sound, and then you're, you know, beyond that, you're just focusing on the pedal, so... okay, let's see here. Do I have issues taking guitar outside of the U.S. with the rosewood on your fretboard? I don't think that that stuff really affects personal travelers. I think it's, you know, guitar companies that are shipping things in large or reasonable sized quantities is where you run into problems when they're buying and selling things, and it's guitars that are being shipped coming into a port and being inspected by a customs, and they're obviously for resale. You know, that's where most of that is. That's my understanding of it, is that with personal instruments, it's not really an issue. You know, like I've never had a customs guy go, show me your guitar, what's that fingerboard made out of? That's never happened traveling anywhere. So so somebody saying the 600 megahertz range will be banned in Canada soon. That's wireless stuff. Yeah, I mean, they keep coming out with, you know, 2.4 gig and different, like, you know, and I know all the wireless companies are on top of it. So let's see here. So nobody told me if the audio seems to be up the middle yet. Chris K says left channel only audio is the future. You heard it here first. Right. Somebody says, I like the way you talk. Why, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Like I said, I always want to do voiceover. In a land before time. I think I could do it. Do I have a system or process for arc? Oh, I already said that. So, step back in the chat. Sorry. Yeah. System or process for archiving musical ideas is the iPhone. That's what I use. Hum single guitar. I think I answered this last week, but 500K or 250 pots, and why? There's a way that you can wire a Strat so that when you're on the single coils, it's seeing 250K, and when you hit the humbucker, it's on 500K. And I bet if you contact customer service at SIR that they might send you a diagram or something and tell you how they do that. It's pretty common knowledge. I bet if you did a Google search for, you know, something, you would pop up with that information pretty quick, or maybe ask on the gear page or something, like in the you know, Guitar Tech forum, how you do it. I don't know personally what the thing is, but there's a way to do it so that you can wire the guitar up so that you can have a competent tech do it, so that the singles are seeing the 250K and the humbuckers on 500. Left channel only still, says everybody. Sorry, you guys. You know, it might be a thing where I once you start something like with a stream, or like you know, you need to like reboot the program or whatever for it to kick into the mono thing next time. So in other words, I would have to play you know, reopen the program that's doing the streaming or whatever, so that it would divert to mono. I'll try it. I'll get it next week. I'll give it a try. Not that I'm playing a lot anyway right now, but okay. Looking for another question here. Next week I might just do the one mic anyway, and then just if I play guitar, you can hear it coming through the microphone. Probably work fine. Because what I got right now is the output of the X8 is feeding one channel in my interface, and the mic is feeding the other, and maybe that's just convoluted. We're not doing a professional broadcast here. Would the Fender Mustang GT200 be a good amp since you don't have the reserve? Oh, wow, I've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. I didn't even realize. Okay, let's make this a 2-hour one, and then I got to get to work. So a few more minutes and we'll shut down. Sorry, almost missed the question. GT200, since you don't have the resources to buy a good amp. I don't know. I've never tried the little Fender modeling amp, but it's, you know, the reality is the little Katana or the, you know, these little Fender amps you're mentioning, I'm sure they're all probably basically good for practice, right? And then, you know, beyond that, getting a, you know, the step up. I mean, I use the little Black Star, which is $70, you know, $60 or something. It's great for what it is. It's like super teeny tiny. Maybe I'll use that next week. That's what I'll play through. It'd be like the great equalizer. Play some guitar through the Black Star. Yeah. Maybe we should just play through it right now. Should we just do that for the hell of it? Where is it? It's right there. Here, check this thing out. If you haven't heard it. There it is. Let's put it over here. See what it sounds like. We'll go from our expensive modeling processor to our $60 Black Star. It's on it like little volume right now. It's pretty fun. I like it. That's my sit by the TV and play amp. Okay. What else? Stealth Parrot says he read Tom Petty had a full-on hip fracture. How is he able to even function like that is unbelievable. Well, probably painkillers, you know. I think he did the whole tour like that, which is just crazy. I don't know, man. What a slippery slope, you know. Moving on. Do I use the PT100 effects loop in parallel or series? I use it in series, and the reason is because there's certain effects that, you know, like certain tremolo and things like that, where, you know, I don't want the parallel. If I was only doing like reverb and delay, I would probably run in parallel, but I just use it in series. Okay. What else? I'm looking for another guitar-related question here. Jennifer's saying that, yeah, Tom toured with the fracture and it became a full-on break, hence lots of painkillers toward the end. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, would have been, you know, it's really unfortunate. It's like just cancel the rest of the tour and come back next year and do it once you're healed up, you know? I don't know. Rather than have to stand up there every night and take something for that kind of pain. It's too bad. I don't know what else to say, you know? Okay, any NAMM appearances? Well, I'll be at SIR a lot. I'm not doing anything in particular this year as far as appearances go, but I will be there quite a bit. And let's see. Kurt says he would have pegged me for the Subaru type, not a BMW. I'm a German car guy. How do I set up my own guitars? Low action with the nut cut low. It's got to be just right, which is the hardest part. I was just realizing I was talking about this with Sir this morning. I just like the nut to be like dialed, and it's such a fine line, you know, because that really makes the guitar feel good to me when the nut's the right height. George says, do I agree with the concept of playing guitar, keeping in mind the nature of the human voice? In other words, playing guitar as a voice might sing whatever one is expressing. Yes, I totally agree with that. To me, that's like the, you know, Jeff Beck or, you know, any great guitar. When I see Landau play, I feel like he's talking to you, you know, and every now and then he talks a little bit more, and then he talks a little bit less, and then he makes a point, and sometimes he's louder and sometimes he's quieter. You know, that's what it sounds like to me when Mike plays, takes a solo. It's like so vocal, so cool. Okay, what else? Opinion on Ego Comp versus Koji Comp. They're both really good. They both have a lot of the same features. You know, Koji's been great, really good compressor. The Ego I've got, a big part of the reason is because it's small. I needed a mini compressor. And for those, I like both the Ego and the little exotic SP compressor, I think it's called. It's really nice. Oh, and there goes the chat, jumping around. So I was doing so well there for the last 10 minutes. Okay, so sorry guys if I missed anything. I'm not going to back up as much here because I always seem to go too far back. I'm just going to... so somebody's talking about the Blackstar amp, so it can't be that far out because I was just using it. They owe me a commission. Yeah, I agree. You know where I got it from was Phil X. He was playing it in a video. Pretty cool sounding. It's fun. Good little amp for rocking out. Thoughts on gold foil pickups? Don't know much about them. I tried them once on a Echo Park guitar. It sounded cool on that guitar, but I don't have some. I don't know much about them, to be honest. Katana Mini Jam Cave says he has in his bedroom. It's awesome. Yeah, they make Roland's. I mean, I have one of the little micro cubes years ago. You probably find those used for like $40 now or something. Great amp. Little Roland micro cube. Terrific. Okay. Hear the strings as much as the amp, says Ian. Yeah, I've got the amp like... Here, I'll turn it up. Feel like crap right now. I have to warm up. But let's see. What's my favorite overdrive of all time? Well, I really like Kalani stuff these days. I realized that was kind of my thing for hitting an amp. Just Klon types. I think. Specifically for overdrive, like driving into dirty amps. Best Celestion speaker for the 1-watt Marshall. I'm using it with the little 10-inch greenback. So it's a 10-inch greenback and a little Marshall cabinet. That sounds great. It's a cool little combo. So why do so many shredders use delay? Because it makes it easier. It just sounds good. I saw Steve Vai recently. He's like, I like distorted guitar with delay. It's just what I like. I agree. So let's see. Use tremolo in effects loop. What else? Sometimes. Sometimes I'll use it in the loop because I figure then it's kind of like in an amp, right? Where it's like it's inside the amp instead of being in front of the amp. But I don't always. If I'm running into a clean amp, you can run it in front, and that's fine. Just depends. I actually use, like, for example, I use the Mobius a lot, and my Mobius is in front and on the harmonic tremolo, which is almost kind of got a vibe-like thing going on. Univibey, almost. It sounds so cool. Any opinion on the Boss MS3? Yeah, it's cool. It's like, build a little pedal board with that thing. So easy. Let's see. Sorry, chat, jumping around. How do I film the guitar parts in my studio? Using two little Sony cameras. I've got an A6000. I've also got a AX33 or something like that video camera. I can't remember. It's like bottom end, but decent, like $700 camera, video camera. you know, they make way better ones, but I'm actually not that happy with it, to tell you the truth. It's pretty cool, but it's like I put up some video. It looks like, damn, it's kind of grainy. Like it's my DSLR style or whatever, the A6000 actually takes kind of better video than the dedicated video camera. So I don't know. Maybe I've got some setting wrong or something I can make better. I should ask Henning Pauly about that. Maybe he can help me. Guy knows all about that stuff. Okay. Let's see. What else? How do I sync my... Oh, shit. Stupid chat just jumped around. Somebody was asking how I sync video to audio. And the way that I do it is through Final Cut Pro. When you pull the audio in with the video, you can simply just select, you can pull in like multiple camera angles if you want and sync it to audio and then pick which camera that you want to see. I do a lot of that when you're seeing the songs at the beginning of the videos. I edit it so I'm skipping around from one camera to the other. And then you can also just sync audio to, you know, synchronize. There's an option in one of the drag down menus at the top, and you select an audio file and you select the video file, and it just matches them up by the audio files, looking at the peaks and all that stuff. Does it instantly. And then you turn off the camera audio. That's basically what I do. Right. Let's see here. Am I getting the universal audio aux? Yes, I will get that. I'm totally excited about getting that thing, and I think I'm going to probably end up using it quite a bit because it's pretty cool. Okay, I found exactly where I went back in the chat. Cool. How many signature guitars do you get for free? Well, that's business stuff. We can't talk about that. But to tell you the truth, I don't even have one of the black ones. So the black one I have is the prototype that I had for years before we'd even decided to do the signature model. And then I have this gold one. So those are the two that I have. And they asked me about it last year, to be honest. I mean, just, you know, after NAMM, they had the black one and the gold one they displayed at the show. And then they called me and said, you know, just, you know, without going into too much detail, what do you want to do with these guitars? Like, you know, sort of thing. I was like, sell those guitars. I have, you know, I got this one a couple months after that, and I had the black one. I said, if there's a demand for them, if people want them, then just get them out there, and we'll worry about it later. So then a few months later, they got me this one, the gold one, and then I still just have the other black one, which was my proto. And the rest of them are all out there in the world. I think they've sold 140, which I'm pretty stoked about in 1 year. I thought that was pretty good for they're happy about it, for a custom guitar, you know. So I'm pretty stoked. Do I use pick slanting for fast alternate picking? Can I give you some advice about it? Specifically, how to nail the technique for upward slanting. I really don't think about it that much when I'm alternate picking. The main thing that see if I can see the video here. The main thing that I recommend when you're alternate picking is using the very tip of the pick, like so. That's about the angle that I'm at when I'm doing it. Okay, so when I slow down, I'm picking harder, and then when I speed up, I'm going... It's really just the very tip of the pick, you know? That's the... And I always come back to that same old Paul Gilbert picking exercise, but that... That thing, which I could do better if I was more warmed up. But basically, when you're picking, the upstroke is the hard part with the alternate, right? Because if you're going strict alternate picking, it's 3 notes on this string. Then when you skip there, that's going to be an upstroke. So getting used to that is the... Right? That's the thing. And the quicker that you go, you should try and lighten up as much as you can. So like another one would be like, let's climb up the string, the B string starting on the note E. Let's do that, like 3 notes per string. So like a say I could do it better if it was more warm. But basically, the quicker that I go, I'm going to try and show you that you'll hear the sound like lighten up with the pick. So I pick harder when I'm playing, you know, like slower. And then go. Oops. You know, so like try and just lighten up a bit and minimal motion and just be relaxed. You know, just try and use the very tip of the pick. I'm picking harder, but then when I go faster, you know, trying to like lighten up a little bit with the pick, basically. So that's my advice on that note. Okay, let's move on. Can I offer advice getting started on digital home recording gear? There's so much good stuff out there now. I started with a PreSonus interface and SM57 and this very microphone that I have right here that you're hearing me talk through, which was I don't make this one anymore, but this is a Groove Tubes microphone called a GT55, and then Groove Tubes became Sterling, and it's like a Guitar Center brand. So I had this for like a inexpensive condenser microphone, an SM57, and a PreSonus interface. Then what did I get next? I got like a UA mic pre, a 610 mic pre and 1176 combo. Excuse me. And added that, and then eventually I got what did I have for monitors originally? I had like cheap Behringer monitors, but then I quickly realized that wasn't the way to go, that I needed to be able to hear better. So then I got a set of Atoms, which I still have and use, and then I got an Apogee interface, which was a huge step up to the Ensemble, and then eventually moved to the UA stuff, So, and Apogee's still, I'm really good friends with the Apogee people as well, and they're great folks, and they make great stuff. So I think UA or Apogee is kind of, as far as like, can't go wrong, and they both make inexpensive interfaces now. So, let's see here, what else? What's the name of the small amp I was playing in the video with Tom Quayle? It was a little Vox modeling amp. I can't remember the name of it, but it was made by Vox. Well, kind of like a piece of furniture. It was cool. So, am I using my new pedal board? Might be a silly question. I'm not using it right now, but I used it on tour. I did, and I've been using it in the studio actually lately, which is fun. Like, so for example, the video I just put up a video yesterday of a reverb pedal, and I used like I just run through it to use the tuner and the ego compressor I was running in front, and then the only other effect I was using was I used a couple of the overdrives actually in that, and the fuzz. So the big, so like that's the hyper fuzz you hear in that video if you watch the one I just put up yesterday. So I'm using a couple of the pedals on the board, but then using the reverb, later on down the chain. It was a reverb demo. What else? Opinion on Chase Bliss pedals. I just tried their analog delay, which I think is really nice. Haven't tried too many more of them. Thoughts on zero nuts? Don't really like extra friction points on guitars, which I feel like the zero nut is. It's like some guitars you'll see it's rarely, but you'll see like a nut, a fret that is sort of serves as the purpose of the nut, and then there's an actual nut behind the fret. So the strings are like, it's kind of like, as if your finger was fretting something all the time on a nut, but that serves as the lowest note on the guitar, if that makes sense. Zero fret, I'll call them. But it's just one more place for the string to make contact, and that to me could potentially create tuning problems. Best 112 combo amp for gigging around $1,500 US dollars. switchable 112 combo around 1,500 bucks. I mean, there's probably a buttload of Mesas out there that would sort of fit that bill, right? Like the little, you know, the little caliber ones and the, what do they call the other ones? The, you know, little 25 watt ones and stuff like that. I mean, I'd probably go that way if you want a switchable. Look for one of those that floats your boat. Let's see. Did I answer my favorite recommended amp switcher? So do you mean like when you've got amps in the studio and you want to switch a bunch of heads into one cabinet? I'm going to use the Pete switcher for that. Seems to work really well. I've kind of become friends with that guy, and he's a nice dude, and so he's going to help me out setting one up in my studio soon. And okay, we're at about 1, so I think I'm going to quit pretty soon here, guys. There's just a few more questions, then I'm going to jet because we went 2 hours today. Gotta go get some work done. Somebody says here, L. Harrison says, the Microcube enables you to play with others in small rooms. Black Star Fly 3 is a personal guitar fun box. I would say that's a good, you can't really play with, well, the Microcube I don't know if is loud enough to get over, you know, any other musicians. But this thing's, yeah, it's not as sophisticated as the Microcube, which is, you know, one's like $60 and the other one's $100. The Microcube's got some more options for sure. But, okay, SSH or SSH Plus. I would say out of those two pickups, the SSH. If I don't lay down the basic ideas for strong structures the same day, do I struggle to find a continuity to my ideas when coming back to it a few days? Okay, Gabriel asks, if I don't lay down the basic ideas for a song structure on the same day, do I struggle to find continuity for my ideas when coming back to it later? Not really. Actually, sometimes it can be good because you might go, oh, what if it went here instead, and go off and do something else, you know? You know, you might hear it in a way that you hadn't when you first came up with the idea, which can be a good thing sometimes, I think. Or not, but yeah. Have I heard the new Stone Temple Pilots album? I haven't heard the whole thing yet. Is it out? New STP album, the whole thing's out? I haven't heard it yet. I should listen. The single sounded great, and those guys were rehearsing close to my studio, and I could hear them, and I was going out and listening, you know, and in the street when they were getting ready to. You know, the week that they were started before they did that Troubadour show, I was listening to them, and they sounded amazing. Sounded really good. Seems like a great singer. Seems like a great fit. Robert I've known for many, many, many years, 25 years, and he's a sweetheart of a guy. Dean's a sweet guy, too. They're great, and I wish those guys all the best. Okay, guys, just a couple more, and then I'm going to jet. Let's see. Have I tried the Metropolis? I haven't, but I recently tried the Superplex, which is more like a 66 JTM 4500, I think, kind of thing, and it was amazing. That amp sounded great. It's in the Tim Pierce video where he says, going amp shopping. I kind of just breezed in and tried a couple of the amps at Cliff's place at LA Vintage. So if you search for that Tim Pierce video, you can hear me play that the Superplex. It sounded great to me. I kind of have a hankering for a JTM 45. Seems like an amp that I would enjoy, and you know, I've always gravitated towards the later sort of, you know, Plexi super lead situation, but a 45, I think I would like to mess around. So let's see, what else? Not seeing any. Let's see. Well, I pre-reviewed the AX8. Yeah, I'll do something with the AX8 soon. Just getting past NAMM here a little bit and stuff. I'll record something with it and make some sounds. Probably, you know, my thing would be to record a song with it, make 5 presets, and come up with some sounds. And so I will probably do that soon. Okay. Well, the stupid chat skipped all the way to the end, and so I'm just gonna look at kind of what's on the last page here and then move on. What's the best Plexi sound pedal? so many, you know, the Plexi tone's great for the modded thing. The BEOD is great for the modded thing. Straight up Marshall, I would say the Lagrange is terrific, as well as the Ramble FX, the one that looks like kind of like a Marshall. And that's a terrific pedal. The Riot Reloaded is really good too. Those are the ones that are coming to mind. Have I ever used a Helix plugging into the return? I think you mean like using the pre's in the Helix, then going into a tube amp, like using the sort of preamps or amplifier sims in the Helix going into the return. Yes, I've tried that, and it's pretty cool. Done it. You can do that just going 4-cable method. Use an amplifier, use the Helix with it, using it just for effects. But then what you do is, in order to do that 4-cable method, you need to use one of the effects loops in the Helix to send out the signal to the front end of your amplifier. And then you take the send out of your amplifier, come back to the return of the Helix. That's how you patch something in 4-cable. If you just don't do the effects loop in the Helix, and you've got it hooked up 4-cable, now you're running into the Helix and coming out into the return of your amp. And that's basically, now you're doing exactly what you just said, and so then you can use the amplifier models in the Helix or whatever processor you're using 4-cable and run them into the return, and it can work. Actually sound pretty cool. Okay, so you guys, I'm gonna jet current gauge of strings and maker Ernie Ball. I use 10s, and I generally been using the RPS 10s because they're a little reinforced on the plain strings. Originally made for Kalers, but they still work really good, especially on Les Pauls, I find. All right, any tips with Blue Box? That's the new cab sim thing I got. I love all the, especially the 412 cabs in it are amazing. That box is just terrific, and I'm probably going to do some recording with it really soon because it sounds so good. Let's see. I think that's about it. I want to do one more, but not seeing one more here. Somebody asked me one more thing, then I'll go. I will go and go get work done. I have to make a video of a KHDK pedal today, I think. I'll knock that out before NAMM. Good question. Do I always have a backup amp hooked up, and have I ever needed it? I have needed it, and yes, I do. Always generally have some kind of backup hooked up, with the idea being that, you know, like on the last tour I just did, for instance, I had an extra PT100 there, and it's got a power cable plugged in, it's ready to go, and if the whole rig goes down, it's like just pop that head up, it's all set up the same as my regular amps, and plug the guitar cable in and move the speaker cable from one of the other ones onto that head, and boom, and in theory I should be up and running within 30 seconds or something from my rig breaking. So that's how I do that. There's other ways to do it too. We can talk more about that next week, but great backup solutions, you know. All right, I think I'm gonna jet, everybody. So I'll see you guys. Thanks for joining, and I'll try and get the audio a little more dialed next week. Sorry if it's only in the left channel. I'll get it set next time, and better, so it's at least mono up the middle. Everybody have a great week, and hey, this is NAMM week, so good stuff coming out this week. I'm going to be at SIR, probably put out some videos and stuff, and you know, stuff from there. I hope so, at least on my Instagram. You know, live stream, photo stuff all week. It's going to be cool, but there's some good stuff coming, some exciting stuff happening this week, so I'm really excited about it. Oh, and so Friday, singles coming out, the video. It's all going to be on my YouTube this week. That's the other thing. Can't neglect to mention that. Yeah. Busy week. It's going to be a good week. So today's the first day of the week. I better go get started. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks for joining, you guys. We will see ya.